Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vitvaram. We are seeing the Devi and Asuri Sampat, divine and devilish characteristics in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In this, we have already completed the list of divine qualities from fearlessness onward. Many such qualities have been enumerated by Lord Krishna. In the last session, we saw the devil qualities, or what is known as Asuri Sampat. Dambaha, Darpaha, Abhimanaha, Krodhaha, Parushyam, Ajnanam. Hypocrisy, that is pretending to be good while having some evil motive. This is only to cover the ugly intentions one pretends to be noble and good to the world. Just like Ravana appeared to be a sadhu or a mendicant before he came to capture, as he came to capture Sita. Even Maricha, the golden deer appearance he had in front of Sita to capture her attention. Even today's world, we see people who are apparently looking very noble and good, but their basic character is to acquire power, acquire name and fame, position, wealth. Most politicians are of this kind, unfortunately. They are all called Asuri Sampat, devilish qualities. Next is arrogance, that is giving undue importance to what one owns or possesses with pride. This is only to maintain imagined self-importance in this world. And this arrogance in the form of authority, when a person of arrogance gains more power in this world, then he can destroy human kindness, destroy even the law and order of a country, Holocaust and such other things we have seen in this very world itself, where people of power have destroyed millions. We need not have to go to the Puranas or the stories about gods to understand this. Abhimana, self-conceit, highly opinionated views, only to appear as very well informed, intelligent, and that very great abhimana about oneself and one's own views about things, and strongly holding on to what I say alone is true. Parushyam, harshness, strong reaction by speech and action. To protect oneself from humiliation, a person will pretend to be good, as it is said before, but at the same time, when one is not treated that way, one is not recognized that way, then the real nature of that person would come out. In the Puranas, we say, when Hiranyakashipu was not obeyed or followed by Prahlad, the Suya Swarupa, the Nija Swarupa of Hiranyakashipu came out. He went to the extent of killing his own son, tried to kill his own son. Harshness. Then all these are because of ignorance, lack of true understanding about oneself, and which is expressing a strong ego. Protecting one's own ignorance with arrogance and pride and anger, harshness. These are all enumerated to us by Bhagavan Krishna only to detect in ourselves. Not to blame the world or people who have this, but we have to find out to what degree we have this hypocrisy, arrogance, self-conceit, anger or wrath, and harshness and ignorance. It is said by Bhagavan that Devi Sampat Vimokshaya Bandhaya Asuri Sampat. Saintly qualities will lead to freedom, while sinful qualities will lead and keep us maintaining the bondage. And they have a very strong view about creation. Creation is due to lusty union. There is no substratum or God, no knowledge. They do not possess knowledge or of action and inaction. There is no purity in speech and motives, and lack of good conduct, absence of being truthful. These are all, those will tighten the bondage, while turning towards God and having faith in the scriptures as a source of knowledge will release one from all the bondages. Therefore, developing the divinely qualities will slowly show to you the way to freedom to get relieved from bondages. And also we saw some examples here. What are the driving forces behind actions of those sinful traits? Insatiable passion, vanity, pride and arrogance, delusion, wrong resolves, foul means to possess, goal to indulge in sensuousness, worry and anxiety. In this very world itself, we have got examples for these kind of people. Now, finally, where do they land? According to Krishna, they land in hell. The self-conceited perform sacrifices with arrogance, ego and hypocrisy, disregarding the religious disciplines and injunctions. They continue to insult the presence of God within themselves and others, insulting those who are righteous and religious. The way of life of these people is filled with pride, arrogance. They may do rituals also only for showing off what they can do. And they constantly insult the Lord's presence in all beings. The outcome of sinful living is continuous delusion and the inability to come out of the sense of sense indulgences, resulting in decay and disease in the body, loss of virility, painful old age, and excruciating death experience, followed by falling into hell. So here the concept of hell in Hinduism is different from other Semitic religious concepts. It is not that one will forever be abandoned in hell. For the actions one has committed, there must be result. Otherwise, anybody and everybody can harm others and do sinful actions and get away with it. Because of the concept of rebirth that is present in Hinduism, we have to admit that even that hell is also a temporary stage for self-correction. The punishment is for the sin, not for the sinner. If the person recognizes that, then he will learn the lesson and emulate good qualities while one comes back to live in this world. The opportunity to evolve is always there. But according to Hindu scriptures, hell, which is known as Vaitarani, is where the river is filled with all kinds of filth, blood, hair, bones, etc., and running with great recklessness, hot and fetid. A special punishment is stated for the sinners, known as burning in the boiling hot oil and not allowed to escape. It is said that every being that we kill knowingly, to that extent we go deeper into this oil. We keep on killing animals, deeper and deeper will be the oil bath you will get. Not small, hot oil bath. You'll be drowned into that. So such a description is there in our Shastra as the punishment for such people. Kumbhipaga, it's called in Sanskrit. It's a pot filled with hot oil in which one is drowned. Now, if, let us say, a person has to come back to this world again, what are the choices that one has? Or what are not the choices? What are the different areas of work to which an individual get reborn to? So the domains of existence, it is stated. First one is sattvic. If one has done noble work, did not injure anyone either by word, speech, or action, one has lived a very noble life, then he or she becomes a person of nobility, virtues, and goodness, and therefore they are referred as Suraha. Suraha means they are dwellers of the heaven. But they are not subject to rebirth there, but not eligible for Vedic rituals also. They cannot do any of the actions, but only pray. It is said in the Upanishads that in that very heavens, there are no people who have hunger or thirst. There is no death, there is no getting old. And there they have opportunities to learn self-knowledge also. Also, that is what is available is the pleasure. So one can remain enjoying the pleasures, or one can move ahead and gain the correct knowledge. Because they are also subject to ignorance, anger, greed, etc. Redemption is by prayers and release is by self-knowledge. It is like you getting a job in a advanced country, scientifically advanced countries like probably United States, let us say. Compared to other rest of the world, where the basic requirements are still hard to get. Basic needs are still hard to get. So there is a lot of struggle, a lot of competition. Whereas the place of plenty is where the living is relatively easy, not fully, completely effortless, relatively easy. The heavens are one step forward. You don't need even work. You get it. Whatever you want, you get it even without working. But the possibility of you indulging in that is very high. So the place of pleasure also is in the plane of ignorance only. Unless one comes to have the inclination to further enhance the knowledge and come out of it as well. So Sattvika Loka is also in the Ajnana Bhumi only. Then comes the Rajasika, that is where the Manushya Loka. The human beings, residents of the human world, they are subject to rebirth, obviously, because of the actions involved. Eligible for Vedic rituals, choice over action. subject to hunger and thirst. So most of the actions are performed by the individual only to get rid of basically hunger and thirst. But what to do? They are subject to old age, disease, and death. But here also, human beings are also eligible for self-knowledge, because they are also subject to ignorance, anger, greed. Then redemption is by practice of 4 different types of yogas: karma yoga, jnanam, bhakti, and ashtanga yoga or dhyana yoga. We as human beings, we are having the opportunity to engage in any of these pursuits and then come out of it also. And so Manushya Loka is of the nature of rajas activity. Then comes the world of darkness. The world of darkness, when we say, it is not another place. In this very world itself, those living beings who do not have an opportunity to know, observe, learn, improve, they can be called demonic beings. Plants, animals, birds, insects, and worms. When we say demonic beings, they are not bad, but they are undeveloped, immature. They are subject to rebirth, not eligible for Vedic rituals, no choice over action, subject to hunger and thirst, subject to old age, disease, and death, not eligible for even self-knowledge, subject to ignorance, anger, greed. Redemption is by natural evolution. There is no other choice. They can't do any prayer, nor they can take up any yogas or study. So that is why it's called dark and low, because there is no choice to come out of it. By natural evolution, one comes out to the next level only presently to suffer the experiences of the action. I cannot take up any new action to perform. So this way, this world is tamasic. So what Bhagavan Krishna says is, those people who are given a chance as human being but do not develop the sattvika sampat, the qualities of sattva, but instead they get into asuri sampat in the form of devil qualities, they will be condemned to live as low developed beings like plant, animal, insects, etc., until they experience the results of their actions and get exhausted and then given a chance to become human. As a human being, we can evolve into Suraha, and there also, out of knowledge, one can evolve into higher living being and become free. So this is how it is stated. Now, Bhagavan Krishna very clearly points out that there are 3 gateways to hell. Trividam naragasyedam dwaram nashanam atmanah kama krodascha lobascha tasmat etatrayam tyajet. There are 3 gateways to hell. The first one is perverted passion. Krishna very clearly points out these 3 are very important for you to understand. Kama. Kama means what? Intense passion in the form of relentless craving for sense gratification, constant flow of thoughts toward the selfish desires, pursuing all actions to acquire, possess, and protect the objects of passion. Acquires is written, but it's acquire actually. So relentless craving. See, animals have cravings. Constantly they pursue for satisfying their senses. Mrigayanti is mrigaha, it is said. The definition of mriga is an animal. Animals are constantly in search. In search of what? To eat, to indulge, to drink, to mate, to sleep. What else? The agenda of the life is the same every day. Go for food, come and feed the family, eat, indulge, mate, reproduce, sleep. That's all. Next day morning, again the same thing. Now, nothing changed. Every day it is the same. So the people who are living in that kind of a agenda of life, they are definitely to go to hell, because if you are constantly pursuing the lower demands, gross demands, it's better to become gross only. Why you are even given intelligence? Even intelligent people who have such perverted passions, intelligently they become full of such sensuousness. We have seen in today's world also people who are great sportsmen or actors or politicians, they also fall prey to lower passions. They lose their kingly privileges also. Royal privileges are taken out of them. Why? Because you did not live like a human. You lived like an animal. Going after people only to satisfy your sensuous appetites. Then why do you need even royal privileges? So even human beings, like animals, when we live like with perverted passions, then you are fit to be in the hell. The next one is anger. So anger, it does not mean getting upset. That is not the point here. Anger in the form of revolt against all those which obstruct the passionate pursuits. Violent reactions toward all obstacles. Revenge and retaliation. That is what is considered as this here rage. Anger, it is in the form of rage. So Gurudev used to say, anger is good if it is for productive purpose, to correct, to discipline. See, we get angry about what others don't do. Do you get angry about what you don't do? If you get angry about what you don't do, then it is a self-correcting mechanism, and that is required. You get upset about what you could not achieve, and then you proactively engage in. But if you are angry about others who are obstructing the way towards your own desires and revolt against them, becoming violent, then that will land you only in hell. So therefore it is said that for every minute or you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. Anger and joy, anger and freedom, they don't go together. The more you are angry, the less you will be happy, or less you will be able to give happiness to others. Nobody sits and stays around an angry person. A person is always angry. How many? See, you may, it is like fire, Fire, you go when the outside is cold. You cannot live next to the fire all the time. It's meant for a particular purpose, and after that it's gone. But it is in the same way, if a person is constantly angry, who will be next to him? Even himself is not happy about his state. But he can't help it. It has become his habit. Such people, those who are around him will stay away from him. Only when needed, they go near and then come out. It is not possible to live with such men of anger who are constantly. See, anger also is because we have intense desire, and disappointment of that desire is called anger. We cannot be angry about things which are not interested in. The next one which he says is gluttonous greed. The gluttonous greed, constantly seeking more. Insatiable thirst for more and more joy. Intolerance toward those who have more than what one has. Scheming and plotting to violently own what one craves for. Greed. So the greed is that which consumes a person before he consumes anything else. It just overpowers you. So these are the three gateways to hell: perverted passion, anger, and gluttonous greed. It is, as I said, no living being is fully free of these three. To some degree or the other, all of us have it. Even those who are living in the heavens also have it. Those who are living in the human world also have it. Even those who are in the lower world will definitely have it. So there is a story in the Puranas that once Prajapati was teaching, and three important students were there. One representative of Deva, one representative of human, and one representative of Asuras. These three of them were studying under Prajapati. And when they have completed their study, when they were ready to leave, so they went to Prajapati. What is your final advice? They asked. See, he gave only one letter, the. So then, this is my final advice to you, the. So each one of them were wondering what this the means. Many times, when a guru, if he wants to test the maturity of the student, he will not reveal the complete knowledge. He will just give a small indicator and see whether the student is able to capture it or not. And when the student is not able to capture, then such a person has to undergo the discipline again. So he just said, that is my final advice to you. So when the Devata's representative, Indra, or one of the Devatas maybe, he learned this, he got this advice, then he started to think, what does this the means? So then Prajapati called him and said, what did you understand as the? So, see, our understanding is always depending upon our base of knowledge. How much we know alone will lead us to know about the unknown. If I am a student of science, and if you ask me a question on archaeology or architecture or banking or economic, I don't know. I may have a very, very preliminary understanding of that. If I am a student of journalism, and if you ask me a question about physics or science or astrology or astronomy, I have no clue. I may write some story about it, but I have no clear knowledge of it. In the same way, when Prajapati gave this word the, or a letter only, according to the mindset of the student, so will be their understanding of that word. So the representative of God, he said, meaning of that is damyata, self-control. Now, how did he come to that understanding? Because in the world where he used to live, the Devatas used to live, is filled with all different pleasures, comforts. As I said, there is no effort necessary for you to accomplish or get what you want. No action involved. Everything is available in plenty. Just have to go and take it. If that is the case, what would be the life of that person? Indulgence. So then what should be the advice from the guru? Don't indulge. Because this indulgence will not make you progress further. If you want to really move further, stop your indulgence. Therefore, he understood that Prajapati is asking me to henceforth practice self-control. So passion should be overcome only by self-control. In the midst of available pleasures, disciplining the senses is the way to avoid hell. So in our life, when we keep indulging in all sort of sense appetites, sense pleasures, we'll spend a lot of time in that. In the process, we don't even know we have lost time. Where one can proceed to learn, understand, grow, and progress, that time is not properly utilized, especially in the formative years of your life, meaning in the early part of your life when you are youth, when you are in the process of educating yourself. If you are spending more and more time in entertaining yourself, drinking and going out and movie watching and hanging out, then you will not even notice that you have lost way. You have lost many, many hours, productive hours. So to overcome passion, only way is to become conscious of self-discipline. Conscious of the fact that I need to practice disciplining my own senses. That is why it is said, it is a common sense, no doubt, that overindulgence will cause only greater sorrow. But even though we know, but we don't practice. That's why Swami Vivekananda beautifully said, common sense is that which is not very common. So then, Damyata is what you mean by the letter the. That is what understood by the Deva. Then the Manushya went and approached human and said, please give me an advice. He said, the same thing. Now, what did he understand? A human being. He said, give datta. Because in the human world, many of us think, if I have worked hard, I deserve to be paid. I deserve to be rich. No doubt about that. If you have worked hard, because only in the human world the work is possible, and you work hard, you get money. No doubt about that. But that wanting more and more and more, that greed again, when it gets into the head, it's very hard to overcome, because we always compare with ourselves with those who have more than us. See, if we compare ourselves with those people who are less richer, they do not have much more than what we have or much less than what we have, then there is a certain amount of arrogance and pride comes. But when we look at those who have more, we become jealous and we become greedy. I also need more. So greed cannot be overcome unless one becomes aware of the presence of poverty, even in the developed countries. We must realize that no doubt we are able to make money, but why not I, instead of asking more and more and more, why not I share? Why not I give to people who cannot have, who are not able to get what they want? So passion can be overcome by Dhamma, self-control. Greed can be overcome only by the attitude of Dhanam. That's why the human being understood that it should be datta, give, with the same letter the. Then came the Rakshasas or Asuras here, yes. So for them also, for the Asura also, the Prajapati gave the same letter, the. So what do you understand? Because they lived under the tutelage of this Prajapati, these Asuras are little better than usual ones. So they started to think, what is that I need to bring into my life to become better? Damyatvam or dayadvam. Be compassionate. We can get upset for anything and everything. Nobody can stop us. To get angry is my privilege. My birthright, somebody would say. So that anger cannot be overcome without the opposite. The antidote to anger is compassion. Through being sensitive to others' feelings and proactively engaging in removing others' sorrows, you can avoid hell. So the Asuras, usually that who have anger, rage, intolerance, cunningness, evil tendencies, wickedness, cheating, self-conceit, arrogance, pride. When these negativities are there in plenty, they are called Asuras. And what is the antidote that they need to practice? Compassion. Feel for others. Become sensitive to others' feelings, emotions. And that thereby one can overcome anger. In fact, as we see, the passion, anger, and greed, they are gateways to hell, whereas self-control, dhanam, and being compassionate, they are those which will take us away from the path to hell, and they lead us towards path to heaven. So it is said in that very Upanishad about discussing about this. That's why when you hear during a rainy season, the thunder, so that is the sound of the statement, the. Prajapati is reminding us, Damyata datta dayadvam iti. So it's a beautiful antidote for the path three gateways to hell. So it is said so. Now, having understood this, towards the end, Bhagavan Krishna in this chapter, he says, those who are not practicing what is said in the Shastra and doing everything on their own can never eliminate the possibility of going to hell. Therefore, tasmat shastram pramanam. Shastra is the means to know karya akarya vyavasthita, to know what to do and what not to do. Then, one who has performed everything, shastra vidana uktam, iha karma kartum arhasi. Oh Arjuna, here you have to go according to that. So, what is Shastra? You see, any object, anything that you buy in today's world, it always comes with a manual. In that, what is given? What to do, how to use it, and how not to use it. Meaning, what are the things you should not use this for? So it is like this. Read the manual. Instructions to help and advice. Everything comes with the manual. Similarly, Shastra is a manual. It's a book of instruction to begin with. If somebody tells you to do something, you'll say, who are you to tell me? If your brother is telling you, younger brother is telling you to do this or that, So you are younger than me. You are born 5 years later to me, and you are telling me what I should do. Let us say it is instead of your brother, your uncle is doing. Uncle is saying, or your father is saying. You will not disrespect that. Yeah, because they are elder to me by age. They have more experience than me. Therefore, you take it a little more seriously. If a person with greater knowledge in a field and he or she is telling you, you will take it a little more seriously. See, that's why in the Balvir parents would say, even though I know the subject, but my child would not listen to me. It's better he goes to Balvir and learns the same thing from a teacher. Because, familiarity breeds contempt. As somebody whom you are too familiar, you will not take their words very seriously. And that Balavir's teacher, her son will go to some other one. They will not listen to his own mother. So who is giving that knowledge is very important. It is said, Shastra is Ishwarena Dattam Shastram. Ishwarena Kritam Shastram. Bhagavan Krishna says, Vedanta Krit Veda Videvachaham. We saw it in the 15th chapter. Vedanta Krit Veda Videvachaham. I am the one who knows the Vedas, and I am the one who created the Vedas also. Shastra Moolam Ishvara. The very Lord himself is the very source of this Shastra. Broadly speaking, the Shastra, which is known as scripture, to start with, it has two aspects. One is direct instructions by the Creator about how to live in this world. It's all about do's and don'ts, Vidhi and Nisheda. Vidhi means what to do, Nisheda means what should not be done. So the book of instruction, to begin with, gives us the discipline of what are the things you can do and what are the results that will come out of it, and what are the things you should not do. But if you do it, what are the things, consequences out of that? So that is called Shastrasya Vidhihi Tada Nishedaha. The do's and don'ts. And in all actions, we have to recognize that there are ways to do and ways we should not do. So this is essentially for us to purify our mind. Why should we follow anything like do's and don'ts? By performing what needs to be done without any ill will, likes and dislikes, and clearly eliminating unwanted things from our life, mind becomes calm and one-pointed and quiet. Mental purification takes place because you are doing it as an offering to the Lord, because based upon his instruction only you are doing it. So the mind becomes much more calm, purified, and then less and less of selfishness and more of dedication to the Lord. And that becomes that mind becomes qualified for wisdom to gain the correct knowledge. And only a quiet mind can capture the wisdom. Gurudev always would say purity of mind and clarity of thinking will lead to recognition of the knowledge or understanding of the knowledge, which will lead to freedom. So one aspect of the scripture is do's and don'ts as instructions by the Creator. The Vedanta portion, Upanishad portion, is about knowledge to reveal the Lord, the Creator. So karma and upasana are the one aspect of the Shastra. The important part of the Shastra is Jnanam, which will reveal the Creator to us. How? By pointing us the way to contemplate. Pointers to contemplation. How to turn our attention towards the Lord. How to turn our attention towards the freedom. how to turn our attention towards our own higher nature. So that to exclusively meditate on the self, which is his own presence, Lord's presence within us. So that is what is pointed out by the Jnana Marga Shastra. And by the exclusive meditation upon the Lord, upon the self, which is already present, who is already present in our own heart, the mind not only becomes pure, but becomes one-pointed and abiding quietly in oneself. Ultimately, the knowledge is not just an intellectual exercise. It is more of, withdrawing our mind from all other unwanted engagements and only staying by, abiding by, lodged in, stay put in that self, leading to realizing him and becoming liberated. So, jnanat evad kaivalyam. The jnanam that will take one to the final liberation, oneness with the Lord. So, therefore, Bhagavan Krishna says in Gita clearly at the end of this chapter 16 that one should take up Shastra with so much of reverence, faith, and devotion, and study well. Do the Shravanam, proper listening, do the Mananam, proper reflection, and Dhyanam, meditation, to know the presence of the Lord in your own heart, to realize. Thus, this 16th chapter has given us very clearly the qualities of a saintly person and a sinful person, and how those qualities can finally will lead to saintly qualities will lead to higher knowledge by purifying our mind and getting us ready for jnanam. While if one continues with asuri sampat, meaning sinful qualities, mainly kama, krodha, and lobha, desire, anger, greed, will lead us to hell. And finally, he gave the instruction that by avoiding the three very strong gateways to hell is to abide or go by the instructions given by the Shastra. In the next chapter, what is the subject matter? Arjuna will ask this question. What if somebody does nothing but has a great faith in scriptures? Is faith important or action is important? So we will see that in the next session, chapter 17. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkhabhat bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.